It's nice to hear the meadowlarks are joining us. It's springtime in the eastern plains of Colorado. It's good to see that we have some company. Good to hear that we have some company. Hi everybody, this is Pach with Three Peaks Photography. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about tripods, and possibly more than you ever wanted to know about tripods. But one of the biggest issues that I see when I have students come on my night sky workshops is that they don't have an adequate tripod to do night sky photography. You need something that's very sturdy and very reliable. And so I'm going to show you some of the tripods that I have collected over the years. Years ago, I would have told you you only need one good tripod to last you for your whole photography career, but as you can see, in my case, that's not true. So let's start out with the bottom. Okay, here is a very basic tripod that you will pay about $20 for at a big box store. And do yourself a favor, do not put your camera on this. Okay, this is okay for a cell phone or for a light. Like I have some lights over here that I use for my night sky photography. These are perfect for holding these kinds of lights, and this is why I have this particular tripod. So this is a phone holder. This is great for using your cell phone. I use this holder for my LED panels that I use to light up objects like the farmhouse behind me when I do night sky photography. So this is perfect for this type of setup. I also have some snoots that I made for these types of lights. So this is just a cardboard box that allows me to narrow in the beam of my light instead of having it spread out all over the place. And so all I have to do is clamp this down into the phone holder and we are good to go. I can also flip this to a vertical position. So if I have a tall, skinny object that I want to illuminate, like a windmill, then I can set it up this way. So again, don't put your camera on this. This is not sturdy enough to fit your camera. I have two of these. These are for my lights, so I'm going to put these aside for now. The next tripod I have is one that a lot of you are probably familiar with. A lot of people buy this type of tripod when they're first starting out. And this, again, is a very inexpensive tripod, maybe $25, $30 at a camera store or big box store. This has on it what's called a tilt and pan head. So it tilts up and down, and then it rotates side to side. And this type of head is very limiting when you're trying to set up your camera. So panning side to side. It's not as good as a ball head as far as positioning, so you're going to have a little bit of difficulty. Another issue with a tripod like this, anytime you have legs tied together with brackets like this type of tripod was actually meant to be placed inside on a flat surface like a floor or a stage. And around here we don't have very much even ground, so I'll show you in one of the other models how when you have legs that are separate from each other, you can use that to your advantage when you're set up on a hill or something like that. Okay, so again, it's a step up from the one I just showed you, but I really wouldn't use this for a larger or medium-sized DSLR or mirrorless camera, especially if you're shooting at night. When you're doing really long exposures, this will not stand up to long exposures. Definitely won't be stable in windy conditions, and it's just not a very good choice. Now, a lot of manufacturers make tripods like this one. This is aluminum, and it's got the twist knobs to extend the legs. Okay. I bought this one to have something that was smaller and lighter for hiking and backpacking. And I'll show you the tripod that I just got that I purchased to replace this one. So if you notice, these legs are not tied together with brackets. So I can spread them out, and we have these little clips here that we can push in and extend them out. So if you're on a hill, you can set your tripod up on that uneven ground, and this will be much easier for you to do that. I also have a center post, which if I loosen this knob in the middle, allows me to extend my center post. This reminds me to tell you something of importance regarding center columns. I saw someone recently set up their tripod like this. This is not a very stable situation for your camera. It's going to be top heavy, and also the further you extend your center post up, the more chance you have of the camera moving. Okay, so when you set up a tripod that has a center post, you want to make sure that you extend the legs as much as you need, and then if you need to extend the center post, do it at a minimum. Okay, and I also want to go back to the tripod I showed you a couple of minutes ago and point out one of the things that I have seen people do, especially beginners. So I've seen a lot of beginners who are not familiar with using tripods actually take the camera and try to screw the camera onto the plate. Don't do that. That's going to be very difficult to do in the first place. Plus, you might strip the threads in your tripod mount on the bottom of the camera. What you want to do is take the plate off, then attach it to your camera, then keep it on your camera so that when you need the tripod again, all you have to do is put the camera onto the top and secure it. This particular plate only fits this type of tripod and head. What we typically want to look for in a tripod head is something that has an Arca Swiss clamp. So this is the clamp right here, and if it has an Arca Swiss clamp, then you can use Arca Swiss type accessories like L brackets that will fit onto this clamp and tighten securely. This is an Arca Swiss type plate that you would put on the bottom of your camera. If you have an attached screw like this one that has a slot for a screwdriver, use a screwdriver or a coin to tighten it, because tightening it with your fingers is just not going to do it. It's going to slip if you try to tighten it with your fingers. Use a coin or a screwdriver. So to put this onto the clamp, the best thing to do is to slide the front in first and then put the back in. So you want to make sure that the clamp is widened as far as possible. Don't try to slide this in from the side, either side, because then what's going to happen is there's a good chance you're not going to get it onto the clamp properly, and then when you try to tighten it down, you may think that your camera is secure when it's not, and then your camera is going to have a nice meeting with the ground. So what I want to do is put the front in first. This particular one has this little button that I have to push in, and so I have to do that. Make sure that the bracket is all the way down inside the clamp, and then turn the clamp to tighten it. Okay, so keep in mind my camera would be on this, and this is how we tighten the camera to our tripod. So this piece of metal here on my camera is called an L bracket, and this is what I use with all of my cameras instead of the plate. It takes the place of the plate and it fits onto the clamp so that you can mount the camera either horizontally or vertically without having to change the position of the tripod head. Also, if you're stitching together a series of vertical shots to make a horizontal panorama, This makes life much easier because then you're rotating around the camera body instead of trying to get the head down into this little slot here to go vertical, okay? I will demonstrate this a little bit later with one of the other tripods. So this is a typical ball head with a panorama feature. So this little knob loosens up the bottom of the head and allows me to rotate like this. This is perfect for shooting a series of photos to make a panorama. If I want to go vertical with my camera, loosen up the ball, and then I fit the post into this slot, okay? This is kind of a pain, and that's why the L brackets come in handy. One of the things that you need to be aware of with a tripod like this and a head like this is that a lot of them have a little set screw. Not sure if you can see that. There's a little set screw right here. And if this screw is not tight, then your head will come loose on this plate and it will drive you nuts. So there's a little kit that comes with your tripod that has Allen keys in it. Don't throw those away. You've got those for a reason. And one of those reasons is to tighten this little screw. So your head like this may have 2 or 3 screws. It may have just one, but make sure once you get the head tightened onto it that you then tighten that screw to keep it secure. And then this particular tripod, I can take the center post out and then I can unscrew one of the legs and turn this into a monopod. So this fits in here like this. Then I can extend out as far as I want. And now I have a monopod, okay? So I can adjust my height to however I need it. And then it's nice to have a head, a ball type head, because if you don't have a ball type head on here, you're attaching directly to this plate under here. And if you want to go vertical, you're doing this, which defeats the purpose of having the monopod to begin with. So a lot of people like to use these simply for walking sticks. I have a friend who calls them coyote boppers, and you can also practice your javelin skills. I hope I didn't break it. I don't think I did. Oh, that landed in a cow pie. I'll have to go retrieve that. It's a good thing I bought a new tripod to replace that one. Anyway, I have a new tripod that I purchased to replace the little green one. That one was aluminum, or is aluminum, and these days a lot of manufacturers are making the carbon composite ones, which are very sturdy and very light, and they also dampen out movement a lot better than the aluminum ones do. Okay, now I'm going to show you my new tripod from Explorer. I am an Explorer reseller, and I really love this tripod. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a reseller. This is very well made. This is carbon fiber, and it's very lightweight. Explorer makes tripods for travel and adventure, so these are a little bit smaller and a little bit more compact than other tripods that are similar. This has the twist knobs, and this particular tripod has 3 sections to the legs. You see that I have a spike on this foot, so I can use a spike or a rubber foot. They both come with the tripod in the kit. I also have a couple of Allen keys that came with it, and I can use this Allen key to tighten or loosen the spike, take it on and off. Okay. All right, let me extend these legs. Okay, so I have a very nice panoramic type ball head. So this is the knob for the clamp. When I put my camera up on top of the clamp, I have this lever here that loosens up the ball, and I can really crank on this knob to tighten up the ball and make the camera very secure. On this side, the knob on the top adjusts the tension on the ball. So sometimes we don't want the ball to just be really loose and the camera flop over very easily when we're positioning it. So we can tighten that tension. And then this knob down here allows me to loosen up the bottom and rotate or pan to do my panoramic images. Okay, so position this here, so I put on the camera. So again, I have my L bracket on this. Slide the front in first, make sure the clamp is wide enough or open wide enough, and then turn the clamp down to tighten it very securely. So now when I loosen this, I can position the camera however I want. I also have legs that are separate from each other, so I can slide this out and move the legs up and down or spread them out to adjust for uneven terrain. And then with this type of tripod, let me get the camera off, I can take off the head, replace it with something else. And I have some heads that I'll show you in a minute that I use for doing night sky photography. And you notice I don't have a center post. So a lot of high-end tripods don't have center posts because with a center post, you might get that camera movement from it being there. Some tripods will allow you to purchase a center post separately. Not the case for this one. And I also have 3 set screws here that I can use to tighten the head onto the top of the tripod once I get this screwed in and secure. So if I want to keep this head on here all the time, then I would tighten this down and tighten up the set screws from the bottom. I also have a leg that comes off so I can make a monopod. This one with the rubber grip on it unscrews from the base, and then I have this adapter that has really long threads that I can screw in here, and now I can put my head on top here, and then of course my camera on top with the clamp. Okay, so let me take this off, get this leg back on, and I'm going to show you some other heads that can be used for different purposes and some things that I use for night sky photography. Hello, meadowlarks. Okay. All right, so let me show you some other heads. This is a leveling head, and if I fit this on here like this, I have 3 levels on this platform, and I can adjust these knobs until I get the bubbles in the center of all of the levels. So if you don't have a bubble level on your tripod, this can be useful, especially if you're doing panoramas. This is a wedge, and this is a wedge for one of my trackers. And so if I secure this on here, Then my tracker goes onto here in the clamp, and then my camera, my other head and my camera would go on top of the tracker. I have some other videos that show you how to set up some of the trackers that I use. And so these knobs here on the back work together. You have to tighten one while loosening the other, and this adjusts my side to side, my panning, and then this knob here in the front adjusts my declination. Okay. Let's see, what else do I have? Now I have, this is a 3-way geared head, and I also use this for tracking. And I have 3 knobs here. This one adjusts the side to side, or the panning. This one adjusts the horizontal level, and this one adjusts the declination. Okay, so this is great for aligning your tracker to the North Star or whatever you use to align to. I also have an Arca Swiss type plate that fits on top here, and this can go onto the bottom of my tracker. I also have a tilt pan head. So sometimes I use the tilt pan head to do multi-row panoramas. And this particular tilt pan head is a lot better than the one that comes on the little cheapo tripod. So I have this knob here. If I loosen this knob, which is really tight, then I can pan side to side. And then the handle, if I loosen the handle, that allows me to pan up and down. So if I'm doing a series of shots to do a multi-row panorama, I would pan from one side to the other to do one set of shots. Make sure that I tighten this knob between each shot. Then I would change the declination for the next row. Do another row of shots, change the declination again, and then shoot another row. So when you're doing multi-row panoramas, you don't have to do one row and then go back and change the declination and then go left to right. You don't have to go left to right with every row. You can go left to right, up, then right to left, up, then left to right. Okay, oops. Tighten that so I can take this off. Okay, so this is my biggest tripod. This is from Really Right Stuff. It's also my most expensive tripod. So had I known about the Explorer tripods before I purchased this, I probably would have just gone with the Explorer. Not to say that I don't love this. I do love using this tripod. However, for most people, it's out of their price range. But it is extremely well made. It's very, very sturdy. And I bought the one with the 4 leg segments just in case I needed some extra height. Okay, and with this type of tripod, you purchase the legs separate from the head. Now I bought the smaller panorama type head, but I also customized it by getting the large panorama clamp. So when I put this on here and secure it, I can loosen up this knob on the bottom, which allows me to pan. This is the knob that adjusts the tension of the ball. This is my knob for adjusting or tightening the ball itself, which I can also really crank on this to tighten things down really well. And then I have this knob that if I loosen this knob, it allows me to pan over the top. So this can be very handy as well. And then I have the knob in the back for the clamp. So when I put my camera on, I can do panorama shots this way, or I can do panorama shots this way. So sometimes there's an advantage of using the bottom as opposed to using the clamp. And then, as I was saying earlier, some people I've seen position the knob for tightening the clamp like this, and then have it in front of the camera. And you can see if I have a lens on here, this is going to be very difficult to do. So I recommend that you keep your clamp knob to the back. Another really nice feature of this tripod is that I have a bubble level right here. And if I take the time to position the legs, move them up and down, and get the bubble right in the center, when I shoot panoramas, every frame, if I use the horizontal level in my camera and make sure that this bubble is in the center, every single shot that I make when I do a pan for a panorama is dead on level. So that's a really pretty cool feature. I also have an accessory here that is very handy. This is a holster for your remote. So this just straps to the leg with Velcro, and then you can slip your remote in there too. All right, what else do I have to show you? A couple other accessories. This is a rock or stone bag. So if I want to weigh down the tripod, if I'm out in very windy conditions, I can put this on here between the three legs. And then once that is on, I can put rocks or heavy objects in there to keep the tripod from moving. On a day like today, I wouldn't leave this on here empty, because with it flapping around, it might move the tripod a bit. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got a lot of stuff here. Just a couple final things. This is a phone mount that Move Shoot Move makes. So this has an Arca Swiss type fitting on the bottom, and if I wanted to, this is kind of overkill for this particular tripod, but if I wanted to mount this on here, I could do that like this. So this will fit into any Arca Swiss type clamp, and then I can put my phone in here, or what I use it for is my lights. So this is made of metal, so this is much more sturdy than the one that I have with that little tripod. And I can put my light in here with the snoot and position it however I wish. And then one other thing just for fun, this is the smallest tripod I have. I actually purchased this many years ago for hiking and backpacking, and theoretically you can strap this to a post or a tree and put your camera on it, but I don't think I would put a camera this big on here. I use this now for these types of lights when I'm out doing night sky photography. So I can very easily set this on a rock or inside a building and then loosen up this knob here to position it any way I need to. Oh, wait, one more thing. Let me move this to the side. Have to show you this ancient relic. This is the very first professional type tripod that I purchased 24 years ago, and I'm still using it. It's still in decent shape, even though I have abused it over the years. This is a Manfrotto. It is all aluminum, and I used to carry this everywhere I went. Whenever I went hiking up in the mountains, this came along with me. And I was much younger and much stronger then. This tripod is very heavy. And the only reason I use it right now is to hold this tracker. So this tracker is very heavy as well. And so I only use this tracker and this tripod if I'm going to be next to my vehicle like I am right now. This is too heavy for me to carry, but the tripod still does its job. This does have a center post. I can adjust it up and down if I wish. The center post also splits in half. So if you spread out the legs and you want to get really close to the ground, the center post might interfere, so you can split this in half. I also purchased this shackle that fit perfectly inside the post, and I can hang something off of this to make sure that my tripod is secure in the wind. I have had this on top of Pikes Peak for New Year's Eve in 60-mile-an-hour winds and strapped it down to my bag to keep it from moving, and it worked just fine. But as I said, I don't use it very much anymore except for this purpose because of the weight. And something like this with a carbon composite is very much lighter and much easier to carry. And as I said earlier, carbon fiber will dampen vibrations more than aluminum will. So however, carbon fiber tripods are typically more expensive than aluminum ones. So as usual, when you're purchasing something, the two questions you have to ask first are, what am I going to use it for, and how much money do I have? So I've shown you lots of options. I've given you lots of tips. I hope that this not only helps you use a tripod properly, but also helps you in making a choice as to what to purchase. And the obvious reason for using a tripod is that we want to keep our camera still. But the not so obvious reason for using a tripod is that it forces us to take the time to look around and think about what it is that we're going to photograph. So what we include in the photograph is just as important as what we exclude, and taking the time to set up your tripod is going to help you slow down, take a look around, and compose your images in a much better way. So thanks for watching, and make sure to follow my YouTube channel for more useful tips. When you have an attached screw, oh, see, equipment malfunction. It's one of the reasons that I purchased another tripod to replace this one.